Hi again. Yes, I want to share something else with you. Oh, I'm on a roll today. Yeah, things are just starting to open up, just putting pieces together. Okay, a couple, as I told you guys, I was a Christian my adult life from like the age of 20 on to, till 3 years ago. But during this time, like, I visited many, many churches, but maybe 12 years ago, I visited this one church in the city, and it was in East Harlem. I don't remember the pastor's name, I don't remember the name of the church, but it was in East Harlem, and I thought it was funny, and I wanted to check it out. So I'll go there, and this guy, he was about 65 years old, a black man from, I think, Virginia. And I visited his church for a couple of weeks. He had an interesting program. He taught, he had computer classes, and he was not he personally, but he had an instructor at one of his annexes teach basic computer skills for free. So I used the facilities to upgrade revise my resume. And I forget how many weeks the program is, but it was a program you can get your resume done and other things just to make you computer literate. So his church, though, he had a small church. It had about 5 adults and about 5 children between the ages like 7 to 10 years of age. Okay, and some of those kids were the co-pastor's children, but about I think four of the kids I think came from this one lady in the neighborhood. She was a crack addict, and they allowed them. The mother said that they'll allow her children to go to the church on Sunday. So it's a very small church, and then the co-pastor's kids, and so it's really small. But one day, these visitors, oh, the pastor made mention about his past. I forget when he told me, but maybe it was on his radio program. He had a radio program, and he was a troubled kid, and something happened. I think yeah, he's from Virginia, I think. And he was sponsored by this Christian group, and they sent him to the Caribbean to uh, get Bible study or something. Yeah, he couldn't even speak the language of that particular place. But either way, he gets his degree, I think. Yeah, he gets his degree there. I think it was a 4-year program or something. He finished college, and then he comes back to the U.S. mainland, and I think they set him up in that church. And he made mention. I respect him for that. He stood his grounds about, your conduct, your behavior, and if you're a Christian, you don't be going out there and fooling around, sexually outside of marriage. So early on in his career as a pastor, he made that announcement right up front, the people, what he expected out of his congregation. So when he gave that message, you not be fooling around, they all left. Okay, and that's why he only had 5 adults left. And these were elderly adults. But he meant, I could respect him for that. And he kept on, doing what he's doing, his ministry. And so even though he only has 5 elderly adults and the rest children from this crack addict, and then the co-pastor's little kids, that's it. So I thought that was, interesting. But what's really in my why I'm sharing this video was about the visitors. He had two visitors, two white guys. One could have been around his age, maybe a little older, and a younger white guy. They looked very official looking. Now they came in and they sat next to me in the front. Again, this is a small church. You just have 5 adults, and then I sat in the front. I was a guest, a visitor. And the pastor started reacting. He was getting hostile and started yelling. It's like, I forget what he was saying, but it was like in code. It was so bizarre. Like someone was bothering him and he was reacting. And the two white dudes, they never said one word. They just sat there. They didn't say one thing to him. But he was reacting and saying these things. I wish I could remember what he said. Okay. Those were his handlers. Those might have been the people who set him up in the church and started the church for him. But like these groups, they always take control. Even him as a 65-year-old. Now, he started the ministry, I think, at 20, went to school, I think, at the age of 20. And he's 65 now. And he has his handlers still controlling him, everything he does. Even though it's in a Black and Hispanic neighborhood, but these white dudes were in control of the show. Okay? It was just very, very bizarre. I never experienced anything like this. And then I remember, this was relatively recent. This could have been last year I saw over YouTube. Sorry, my arm is getting tired. This could have been like maybe 1 or 2 years ago. I started, I was visiting this other church. I mean, this first church I mentioned was maybe 12 years ago. And then I started going to this other church some years later. But I no longer attend that church as well. But when I was watching this YouTube about 2 years ago or so, there was some meeting of all the religious heads, all different organizations that represent some type of Christian organization. And my former pastor was a part of it. This is a different church. This was a Masonic type church. This guy, it was a very bizarre church. I also found out about him over the radio, and he was intellectual, and I was attracted to that, and that's why I went to visit. But this man, again, I'm not going to mention names or church, but he's now a representative of some conglomerate of churches representing, and he was there to, I think, visit the Pope or something. I said, I know that guy. He came up to visit, I think, to be greeted by the Pope. This was, I forget where this took place. They gave his name, and so I recognized the name, and then he came up. I said, I know that man. This particular man, now he was upfront about his past. Like, to be a member of his church, you take a series of classes that I attended, and then you watch a video about him, and here he discloses that he used to be in the Nation of Islam and a Rosie Krishna thing, things like that, but now he's a Christian and blah blah blah. Okay, that's when he was like a teen or something like that. But yeah, so one's amazing. If you're in those organizations, you go through initiation. So he's like a Mason. He's an initiate, and just some of the things that was happening in the church, these weird handshakes people would do, and everything about his ministry was very read in between the lines. It was different. He'd talk about statistics about Black people, and they even showed a film that was so traumatizing to me of someone being sodomized. This is in a church. I I stopped going. I stopped going to that one in 2006. I said, this is too much, too much. He's not a bad man, whatever. Um, it's a place that attracts black celebrities, But all this, masonry, all this, occultic stuff was hinted at, that you saw in people and their weird handshakes and stuff. I said, I had enough of this. So I physically stopped going, but I believed in tithing and offering to God. So even if you're not physically going to church, you should give to God. So maybe I would wait like a month, like 4 checks, and then I mail them all to the church. But when I stopped going, at one point I stopped even sending my money, and then I got the phone call from the church. Yeah, got that phone call. And I'm kind of like old school that you don't have a man from the church call. You get a young lady. I'm a single woman. And you don't get some guy calling to even check him. No. But either that's how they did it. And I just said, that I feel there's some things going on, but I just don't want to disclose or blah, blah, blah. And he wanted to know. He said, because I said, you mean you don't know what's going on? So he was like curious. Hey, I didn't want to share that I thought there was things, masonry being done there. And I didn't feel comfortable, And so I remember getting several phone calls from him, but, I'd say I'm okay and everything. And, so that was that. But yeah, the churches here in New York City it's very weird. Then I started going to another church. I only went to the last church for only 2 years. And that one was very bizarre. And that one, I thought like, just maybe get involved in a ministry there. And I did that. Very bizarre. And then I stopped going in 2013. And the person in the ministry I was under, she called me. And I thought she was trying to I don't want to say threaten, but trying to scare me. Oh, well, if you stop going, you know, if you come back, you're no longer in the ministry here, blah, blah, blah. You probably have to go through the whole class thing again, something. But like if I stop, then you're no longer a member or something. And then I was fine with that. I just said, oh, everything's okay. I didn't want to argue, leave on a sour note. And he said, I said, okay. But I never looked back, and I never, I stopped going, and I stopped with my tithe and offering, baby. And I felt good about that. Yeah. And what was weird about that last church, when I inquired about the church, I said, oh, if I want to be a member, how do I go about it? Oh, we don't have membership here. Oh, but there was a membership. When I finally decided, like, you have to attend that church for a year before you could get in a ministry, and so membership. So after a year, I did inquire. I said, hey, I like to do the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Well, this thing was so detailed. Here they try to cover up about membership. It was extensive. So here's someone brushing, oh, it's no real membership here, No, it was extensive. They asked for recommendations, 3 recommendations, character recommendations, someone who's not a relative. What else? Oh, I can't remember. And then an extensive interview, and they ask you sexual questions. Man. And then they take your photograph and put it on their database. Never in my life. I've been going to churches on and off for since the 1980s, or really 1990s. till 3 years ago, and it's 2017 now. There's something going on with these churches. They're not innocent churches. They're not innocent, and they all, I think, a part of the whole system of control. You know, your spirituality is a personal one for you to do. Whatever what is spiritually enlightening to you that makes you feel good and is safe and is not hurting you, go for it. But be aware and control your money and control your life, because they are there to try to take both of you and then discard you. So just be careful of who you get involved with. And don't think because they have a television or radio program that's popular, that doesn't mean a thing. In fact, after these experiences that I had, that the more popular, the more dangerous I think they could potentially be. Okay? So that's all that I want to share right now. And yeah, feel free to share your experiences below, and to comment below, and to share this video with your friends, family members, and you could subscribe to my channel, give me the like, and I also have a PayPal me. Those people who like this content, please feel free to send your gifts to my PayPal me account so I may continue to supply you this content. So take care again and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.